have. Lord, we just pray that you will continue those blessings throughout 2022. Be with all those that have COVID and are struggling with that and their families. Lord, there's just many cases spotting up every day, Lord, and we just pray that you will be with them. Lord, we ask that you will wrap your arms around and give protection to the military and all the policemen that help us each and every day to protect us. And Lord, we just ask that you will protect them. Lord, as we continue on this meeting, we just pray that you will make the best decisions for the county. This we ask in your name.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Yes, sir. Mark Gary. Denise Spooner. Jerry Alexander. Lindsey Brown. Corey Bolander. Tom Shepard. John Richwine. John Zimmerman.
Yeah.
And Wes Likens. Thank you.
Okay, we have approval of the December 14th. Hold on.
The statute does require us to elect officers
Before
at the first meeting before we get into business. And Brad normally handles the nominations, so I'm going to, Brad is out with illness, been ravaging our planning staff the last couple of weeks. There are three offices that are required to be appointed here in our first meeting: president, vice president, and secretary. The secretary does not need to be a member of the plan commission currently in this instance. With that, I would put the nomination for president of the plan.
I nominate Wes.
Any other nominations? A nomination of Wes Light. Any other nominations? We have a nomination for Corey Bolander. Two nominations. Any other nominations? Ms. Hinton, I recommend a roll call vote. All those voting for Wes Likens as president of the plan.
Yes, sir. Mark Gary.
Yes.
Denise Spooner.
No.
Jerry Alexander.
Yes.
Lindsey Brown. Corey Bolander.
Yes.
Tom Shepard.
Yeah.
John Richwine.
Yes.
John Zimmerman.
Yes.
And Wes Likens.
I believe that's a majority. Wes Likens will be the president. Vice president. Any nominations? Vice president. The nomination of Corey Bolander, vice president of the planning commission. Any other nominations? Mark Gary. Nomination of Mark Gary, vice president. Any other?
I nominate Gary.
And vice president. Any other? I recommend roll call vote. Nominated was Corey Bolander.
Yes, sir. Mark Gary.
Yes.
Denise Spooner.
Yes.
Jerry Alexander.
Yes.
Lindsey Brown. Corey Bolander.
Yes.
Tom Shepard.
Yes.
John Richwine. John Zimmerman.
Yeah.
And Wes Likens. We're voting for vice president right now on Corey Bolander.
Vote. Mr. Bolander has received five votes, which is the majority of the planning commission, to be the vice president of the secretary. Is the last of the statutory offices. The nominations for secretary. For nominations for secretary. Voice vote. All those in favor of Ms. Etna as secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Either Wes or Corey can preside now. I don't know how they want to handle it. With Corey being here, I figure he's very good.
Okay, so now I guess we move on to approving minutes for the December 14th, 2021 meeting.
We need to,
We could do that with the next meeting. Well, yeah, we can do it now, and also for planning director. Those two are nationally statutorily required. Okay.
So I would accept nomination for the planning department. Is that right?
Wes and Lindsay, we are voting for attorney. Anybody made one? We're still looking for an attorney.
We have a second. I'll second that.
Mr. Graham has been nominated. Mhm.
We need a roll call vote or do we do it by voice vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Okay, so we'll direct.
For director. Brad has been nominated.
we'll
We'll do another voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Yeah. All right, now, I'll have a minute to review it. If there's any changes, you need to
Vice President. Go ahead.
There's no mission of request that I need to that room for couple issues with the solar ordinance. I just wanted to regarding and code that we made in ordinance and other utilities and eminent domain. So just wanted that added in there. Send an email to everyone and make part of the minutes.
Just. What, if you have like the motion to approve. December 14th. Second.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. Okay, now we've got the calendar that's coming here for dates and planning commission meetings. Two more dates are correct, except they need to be changed to 2022, not 2021.
Yeah. And they were all one day off. Brad and I went back through them after the meeting because I noticed that the second one was off by one day. And then we realized that it had changed all the way back to what I did. So I apologize for that.
They're all still the second Tuesday of the
Yes.
month, correct?
Correct.
That's November 7th.
So
Correct.
this is correct.
Correct. Yes.
November 7th will be a Monday. You be sure you
Yes, because Tuesday's election day on the 8th. So I will correct the calendar and send each one of you guys one with the corrected year on there.
Vote on that.
Yes, sir.
Entertain a motion to accept this calendar. Aye. All opposed, same. On to do, appointment. Any member. Yeah.
That's, you have a nomination for zoning appeals, one of your citizen members, which means a non-public official. John, Jerry, and Tom would not be eligible.
Who's in that role now?
Mr. Zimmerman is currently the representative, but made motion nomination just like for the other offices.
You mean we're not eligible for one?
I mean, John Richwhite.
Oh,
myself. Yeah, elected officials, you're not eligible. It has to be a citizen.
Question. So I thought, is he fulfilling the other person's term?
I believe the appointment to the plan commission itself from the BZA. I think the plan commission, but we're Brad. Again, I'm a bit behind on Brad. Understand the lapses. The BZA member that's appointed by the plan commission can change. I'm rolling on. Best practice. It may be for your term. If you don't nominate, that is not strictly required today. The person, Mr. Zimmerman, will continue to serve in that position until his successor is appointed. So if you want to hold off until we get the definitive answer to your
I looked
question.
it up and like 4 years. I just.
Most of the terms are 4 years, but I'll be happy to have that.
Looking at it, I looked at that role.
Yeah, and
Nominate these.
Wes and Lindsay, can you hear?
There is the BZA, one of the 5 members is a citizen member of the Plan Commission that is appointed by the Plan Commission to serve on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Denise has done some research, indicates it can be the extension officer. I have no reason to doubt that. I have not confirmed that yet. And I also don't know the status of the term. Again, that's something I usually work with planning staff on to get that. We have a spreadsheet going back to the 70s that shows these terms. But yes, but not a motion, but so I don't know that that needs to change. But it seems to me there's a couple things about it. There is that. The person currently your representative on the BPA is John. If until that time, John would serve, and until you replace him, and you can do that in your next regular meeting next time. I'll get that to you, so you'll know right away.
Have a motion on the floor to table with appointment. Eric.
The motion is to table the nomination of the Madison County Plan Commission's representative on the BZA until the February meeting. That's right. You're represented by Mr. Zimmerman as of right now. He would continue to serve until his successor would be named, or he would decide he didn't want to do it. There's some concern about the length of the term and the eligibility of the Purdue Extension representative to be that citizen member. We've gotten our toes stubbed before on extension members. We'll make sure we're doing it right. But if that's the case, that would add a position, a person that's eligible for that spot.
Can you look it up? Why didn't withdraw my motion so we don't know?
Well, it's a nomination. We have a motion to table to effectively eliminate nominations at this meeting. So if that would pass with a majority vote, then it would make the nomination move. And you preside for, I'd recommend a roll call vote on the motion in a second. See where that stands. If it fails, then we can come back. Yeah, take a roll call vote.
Yes, sir.
Table the nomination of a member of the Madison County Plan Commission to be on the Madison County Board of Zoning.
Okay, here we go. Mark Gary,
Yes.
Denise Spooner,
No.
Jerry Alexander,
Yes.
Lindsey Brown, Corey Bolander,
Yes.
Tom Shepard,
Yeah.
John Richline, John Zimmerman, and Wes Likens.
Sorry for my lack of preparation. We'll have the information from you. We're on time for next meeting. Take that point. And know who's home.
Table to February. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's because I'm sitting right by the speaker.
And somebody.
Board of Zoning.
That is,
Could have had an appointment from the BZA by there's only one appointment with planning. So it could have been an appointment from.
Commissioners have three appointments.
that's
They do. The commissioners appointments are four. And then, Stevenson, and then you're appointing Lisa Osborne. So those are your three commissioners. The other two, the other comes from the county council, and then the correct. And then under code part 3, calls for person to have a county extension agent there as well, in the legal law. So I would rather have a county extension report you back on the appeals.
6-person board.
No, 5. County commission appointment can be county
Can be.
extension, can be county extension agent under section 3.
That would be. Or not, I don't think that's what it needs. It's kind of like Tom being on the ring.
That would be checked.
Shows up
I
and
think
it's
it's
in
on my membership.
That's
That's why
fine.
we should live in our own land in the county. Yeah, the laws will change, others, but I think it is a member because
If we want to take a recess, I can.
I appreciate it. I would love to.
Well, we already voted.
You can bring it back. If the board would like to work on that today, or the council would like to do that today, I can give me 10 minutes.
It's all here.
They voted. They voted. They already delayed the meeting 10 or 15 minutes. And I got another meeting at 10:15, so.
We've already voted to table it until February, so get some clarification.
The appointment's still tabled to next month. There's been discussion about possibly looking it up, but we're not doing that. We're still tabling it till next month.
You want to give the.
I believe if Brad were here, he would ask your indulgence in hearing the two petitions together. 2021 C006, 2021 W005, one is a waiver of the public sewer and water requirement in the CR district. The other is a rezone from a CR to a institutional district. Again, owing to the illness of the planning staff, there is no staff report in front of you, nor a recommendation, nor proposed finding of fact. My recommendation to Stacy, as we were working through this, her skeleton crew, was to, in order to save the petitioner the notice cost, if I have to do it again, we bring it up at today's meeting, table it, so everyone could come back there on notice and come back without actual notice going out to the meeting. But there, you do not have it, maybe you do. That staff report? You do have the petitions, you do not have the staff report. The staff, due to illness, does not have an opportunity to review these reports. My recommendation would be to table these two to February. The petitioners, Mr. Ryan Sellers and Ms. Vanessa Sellers, would not need to provide additional notice because opened it up and now you're taking. Also, potential remonstrators are on notice of that.
Suggestion. Since maybe some folks here, if we're gonna table this, allow them to go ahead.
Absolutely.
So that way they wouldn't have to take another day off of work.
I would second that.
Is there anybody that wants to speak publicly on the?
Maybe you could just come down and tell us what you want to do, so why you're here, and if for some reason somebody's not able to make it.
Yeah, you would sign your name.
I'm Jennifer Halfcoat. I work at Grace in Motion. We have filed a petition so that we can operate our business from our current property. Brian and Vanessa own the residential property next to it. The property was built by the Rippey family and operated as a business previously. Right around the corner from us is Frederick, so it's not something new to the area or anything like that. We have kept everything in keeping with the surroundings. There will be no changes to the outside of the facility that aren't in keeping with other properties in the area. And the traffic increase is very minimal. We have 6 private workout suites, so at any given hour of the day, we can't have more than that plus staff. So in total, there's not more than 10 individuals at the property, and we have contracted and done all the things that we're supposed to do to mitigate any kind of issues that any neighbor or anything could have. 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. 5 a.m. not very popular, 9 p.m. not very popular.
Well, what do you have their own?
Yes. Yes. And so the detached garage barn actually has a separate address. 5205 is the separate address. And we have fully, I say gutted, but that's what a barn already is, right? We've built out the facility so that it contains an office space and 6 private workout suites. I would encourage you all to check out our website so you can see exactly what we do. It's built out well and we'll give you information about how we function as a business.
Do the septic was because that was operating that.
Yes, and there's no public water access out there. So there's nothing you can do. Do you need us to attend again?
Oh, necessary. It's possible that someone would go up in opposition and get some of that question. I think it'll be an
Available, I would say,
Is it acceptable for me to show up as a representative and you don't need the owner send it that way?
you have staff. But staff reports what you're trying to do. And
Thank you.
any other public comment? Anyone would like to speak? Put that on the agenda for next month.
Just need a formal motion to table.
Okay. Would accept the motion to table petition.
Second, can you vote
They could be done together.
Who made the first motion? Thank you. Motion to table to next month. First by Jerry, second by Denise Spooner.
Would vote.
Aye.
All opposed?
Table to next month.
Okay. Okay,
That may be on there. There was a notice of public hearing today on the moratorium for large scale storage harvest. That particular moratorium is set to expire. Right at the exact date, I believe it's early March. If you do nothing, the ordinance 2017 BC-0-01, which was the ordinance that was in place at the time of the low note vote come back into play, and you would once again allow application. There have been 2 or 3 moratorium extensions. One was put into place shortly after that particular petition was granted. It is a change to the unified zoning ordinance here in the county, and so it does require a public hearing. You are to make a recommendation whether you want the moratorium extended or not to the commissioners. The commissioners will hopefully make that call as early as next Tuesday if they want. We were running a little low on time. I know Brad had asked for the moratorium to be on the agenda for a particular meeting. It wasn't noticed properly, so my recommendation is go hearing the moratorium, and then vote on a recommendation to extend it, and if so, I'll last 180. And if you pass the other one in that period of time, moratorium, or language, but moratorium, or upon passage of the new.
keep my preference as a commissioner for it passed for moratorium until the end of the year or until the ordinance. I would make that after the public hearing.
We have a public hearing before it goes. Before we do that, do we need to hear, or get on the agenda, but I know we were supposed to hear the committee, on that project.
I don't have any additional information to provide on those parts. I know
He's here.
would you like to hear correct from the person? Subject accordingly.
Want the engineer, you want the contractor,
Yeah, to start off with you, and give us an update on what's going on.
Kelly Cruz, 705 East School Street, on progress on the pond and cleaning out equipment off property, which I've got the engineer here and our contractor who is doing that, so they can tell you the percentages or what they're doing there. The only thing I really would have for you guys is, we have one to tell you where we are on removing the stuff. The equipment being pulled down, I would say, is 70% pulled apart. And we just bought another building on Hill Street. So we're, instead of having to build another building, the building we've already built, we're moving everything out of that and putting our retail center in Hill Street. And then all that building is all pallet rack. So now all that will be our storage. So right now, all we're doing, we're tearing everything apart, draining everything, getting all where it needs to be. And like, we've got parts on the ground in that. And once we get organized, all that stuff starts to come inside. But right now, our main goal is to disassemble all the stuff, get the machines out of there. And we've got, I'd say we're about 70% done. When it'll be done, I'm going to say, well, I got to the end of the year, so I'm going to say in the year, but I'm hoping all machines will be torn down except the new ones coming in will be done by spring, middle of, beginning of summer. But the goal right now,
We've got everything.
no, that's what we're working on. I've had people come in and ask me about this because we have moved so much scrap. We moved over 1,500 tons of scrap so far. And I kind of wish we still had another 1,500, but I would say we've got 30% of that left that needs to, the sections have been getting taken care of. We've got one more section, it should be along, part right there, and we've been knocking out weather, this was tougher to work with. We got guys on COVID too, but we try not to have a roll or two a week. And then what we do, they just literally put all the parts on skids, and then we're just getting rid of the scrap. Then gone. We're starting, which we are doing that anyway. There's certain things that are worth a lot more than others, so we're trying to get all the stuff there. So.
I will let them. Done. Yes, that's on the property. We're about, I'm gonna say 60% done on, estimate to finish by March. No weather permitting it. So we're digging every day we can. Right now, when it's frozen, it's soft. We worked all day yesterday, but it got slick about 3 o'clock. We found another dry spot that you can't pull up and out of the pond. Sloppy. We're hauling it all out of there. Pull it out of the hole. Slip and slide. Freezes when we get out of there.
How about the filter system before it comes out?
We got silt fans over on the outlet side, making sure we don't get any silt in the creek or the pipe. That's been there since we started.
There's been some complaints about that. That needs to be excessive. There has been some about that part of it. And I think we're all very anxious for you to get the filter system.
We've got that, we're 2 rows of silt fans in there instead of 1. We went ahead and put an extra one.
So there's not really any real.
We don't have to keep with that.
When would be what's the retention part of it is completely not
Yeah, all controlled. But we're not gonna cut the keyways the last time because all that does is put one more.
Public comment that you did not, um,
This, the weather permits for there, and I'm always there. I'm never, me and 2 other guys, I'm never off the job. But you can only work when the weather permits. It's been a mess, it's muddy out there.
He is.
I didn't hear it.
You want, Gary, when you speak, will you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
you want me to repeat that?
Do you want him to repeat it?
Well, basically, I said that mascot felt the times that people indicated that there was no work going on. Give an explanation of why, and I think that he just did, which was weather related mostly.
We put lights on the whole trucks just so we could run, try to get more time in. And now they don't want us running at night. So we're doing everything we can.
He said over 20 days, you're saying it's due to work or due to the weather, you've not been working.
Over 20.
That's what he's
Oh,
saying.
definitely.
Definitely, he said.
Sorry. What it is. I'm not, but I can't guarantee that. Do my best. We work every day.
Scott, explain, I mean, those must have played there for a living. Understand what it's like when it's muddy. And how weather affects what you do. Those other people say, just look outside at 65 degrees and sunny, they'll take it in and explain that for the record how your equipment, your ability to work, even though it might be a nice day outside.
Right, yeah, just because it's nice outside, yesterday we're frozen, where there's not sod, it's frozen about 8 inches. We're having to break through that to get started. And then, as soon as you get through it, by 2 hours later, it's living around on top of it. It's starting to fall because the sun gets. So just because it's sunny outside doesn't mean it looks great.
Take a day like today, would you be better, get more work done on a day like today, or if the day was 65 degrees?
then we get more work done today for the pipe in the morning. We got there early, and then probably take a couple hours at noon to fly around, and maybe about 3 o'clock we'll fly back up. You never know. So, and it depends on where you're at. Probably. I put a lot of hours in, I'm just saying. Right here.
We've got for a very long time.
If it can be done, I'll get it.
I don't know what point you're at and what you're getting done. I just know, I know what you're going through. I know this time of year, I can have 20 below zero, 35. Answer him if I had a chance, but I know exactly what you're going through, and I just hope you can get it done by March, or the end of March.
Well, thank you.
Okay. I kind of know, in February it comes out. That's when I get maple syrup, and this, it comes up, and pretty soon you can't walk on the ground because it's so mushy. So I know how it goes. I just hope you can get it done by March.
Well, I do too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Kelly Drews again. One thing I was gonna say.
Hang on just a second. Hang on, Lindsay, because the whole speaker quit working. He's talking, but you can't hear him. He's coming off the computer.
So much easier when everybody's here.
Yeah.
Kelly, if you had a few people from the planning commission come out and
Bring them
would
all.
you take everybody around and let them take a look at what
We'll load them. Yeah. Days like today, I get the golf carts out because it's frozen. But if it's 40 degrees, no.
you're walking in the mud.
You ain't. Yeah. Bring the boots. Yeah. I mean, whoever wants to come out, feel free. Show you the new facility. Show you everything. I encourage it, honestly. Because Brad comes out. He's been out once or twice in the last probably, say, 5 months. So he'll come out. I mean, once he hears complaints and that, he'll come out and check on it and know that they're just lies. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That's why I encourage it. You can see they're all lying too. Plain and simple.
Can I ask, what is is it okay if I ask a question, or are we still trying to get
You just
connection?
won't be able to hear Lindsay and then.
Okay. Well, the question I've got is related to what is the ultimate goal? I mean, you mentioned something about you have till the end of the year. Is that something that has been, because I'm really confused frequently about what the overall objective is and what our oversight is.
So our overall objective is, so we have machines out in the yard, and for us, it's better to leave them there and we bring them in, we drain everything, and then we leave the stuff on there, because you could come in and you have a machine, and there's stuff that you really don't sell off them, but they're still on there, so it's worth money. It could be $100, it could be $500, it could be whatever, it could be $50. So, but now what we gotta do, we're tearing them down to clean them out of the yard, so those aren't sitting there. So the goal is gonna be, is when a machine comes in, it goes to the front, it goes in the big brown building, because that's where all the machines are going through now. So it'd be like a disassembly. It comes off the trailer, it goes in the building, we tear it all apart, spit the junk out the end, and then all that's left are the good parts that then we go put on the shelf. And that's what, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, because it makes us more efficient. I mean, I gotta be there less, because anymore, it's all internet-based and web-driven and that, and you need a part, you Google a part number of any machine you got, and the darn thing's gonna pull up with what it shows and who's got it, or who keeps their name at the top of Google as a broker, and then they buy it from me and resell it to you or whatever. But the goal is to have machines come in, the north end of the Brown building, get torn down inside, controlled. I mean, it's even better for us because it's just so much more efficient. And then then it all gets torn apart, then it just goes to the shelf. Or and some engines go to the rebuild shop, front axles, final drives get resealed, they get put on the shelf, they're ready to sell right now. So people don't have to wait a day, a week, a month, 3 months with engines right now with how you can't buy parts. That's the ultimate goal.
So, and what is the, I mean, and again, we're frequently getting emails with
Lies.
photos. I mean,
Yeah.
Photos don't lie, but basically, you know, of course, there's sometimes not a timestamp on them when they were taken, but the long and short of it is, you know, I'm trying to figure out what it would take to get those who are complaining about the progress. What would it take for them to see that there is progress being made, so that they're not constantly inundating us with emails and saying this is going on or this is not going on. And you know, my goal is just for you to get back into a situation where I mean, it's awfully hard for a person that's doing your type of work to actually, you know, make neighbors feel comfortable with what's going on. But you obviously should be able to reach a point where you can operate and not make your neighbors feel uncomfortable about what's going on.
Some people, they just complain to complain. I mean, I've had maybe 1 or 2 neighbors come in to see me. The ones that are complaining never stop in, or it's just all smoke and screens, and they'll never be satisfied. I mean, we could make it a park and they'd never be satisfied. And the other reason I came up here is because when Scott was getting ready to do some more digging, the weather was getting ready to be good. So we went and we drained what was in the water there. We drained it. And what I was going to say about draining the water, we used a dewatering bag. And as soon as we did it the first time, everyone's phones were lighting up. So every time now, Brandy from Soil and Water, which I emailed her too late yesterday because I wanted her to come in here and tell you get her report now, because anytime if I do anything about draining any water or anything more, I call Brad and I call Brandy at Soil and Water, and she comes out and she'll check it, and she's been fine with it. So, but I mean, if I would have thought, I would have tried, which I don't even know if she can show up. I don't know if she's allowed or what, but I would have.
I did call her and validate that. She said that she did come out and inspect, and there was a water bag.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Can she come, like, if I,
yeah.
she could, okay. Yeah. I know certain, like, IDEM camp, because I wanted the IDEM guy to come up. He's like, they won't let us. So that, I didn't know. Who's that? The IDEM guy?
They have an internal policy for
that. I guess, yeah. Because they have someone that handles that. I mean, I could.
Well, we would let them, I would assume. I think.
Yeah. No, it's not you. It's on their other end. They're like, no, their powers to be like, no. They, yeah. Just like they won't, when we had the spill, he was out there and they're like, we won't talk to the newspapers because they always get it wrong. Those were the exact words. And it was wrong. So he validated that. But I'll have Rudy from the engineering, just if you have any questions for him.
Hang
and
on
then.
Just a second, Kelly, because I know Lindsay's been wanting to say something.
Okay.
Lindsay, did you want to go ahead and speak?
Actually, I want to talk to the engineer as well as
contract.
Okay.
So done with me.
I got
Who's
one
the-
Are
last
you done
question.
with-
Oh, Denise has one.
Oh, hang on.
The vehicles that are parked at the office, it's supposed to be for office, are those being disassembled and abandoned? There's a camper out there. What is the situation? Are those just?
Oh, inside, no, okay, because the office is at the old church. We have storage rental units, and people have outside storage, and they keep their vehicles there for the summer. We're gonna build another storage unit, because a lot of them want them inside. So I can't answer, I know they're renting space off of us for the camper. There's a red truck, and some of the other stuff's gone, but like that big semi that's out there, they travel nationwide. I think they just left for the West Coast yesterday, but it's storage rental.
No, doesn't it have to be approved for that?
Say that again.
Doesn't it have to be approved for storage rental?
I believe that would be a
That
variance
is-
that would have to be, yes, yep. They'd have to appear in front of the BZA.
BZA, I thought it was.
To keep their cars out there, or
Well,
outside storage at all?
right now, your office is just approved as an office. I don't think it's approved for storage of.
Well, the
vehicles
office
or
is a
anything like
different
that.
location.
I think, Denise, you were talking about the office building, correct?
We just
It's
passed
the
that.
old office building though, the one on site.
Yeah,
The 705, not the church.
Right.
Are you talking the church?
Wasn't the one that we just passed, the church parking lot area, the
Yeah.
church? And that was to be designated as office only. That's my recollection, unless I got that wrong, Jeff. Do you
Yeah,
recall?
it's for office space only.
But
But we
the
park
parking-
there during the day.
I don't know. We
There's a-
received photographs
Yeah.
of, it looked like the church in the background, and there was a camper in the parking lot of the church and nothing there? Nothing, okay.
Different property. That's
Yeah.
storage units.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just thought I
Okay.
asked if the church, we have the camper, and that is on the 705 East School Street, where we have the storage units and then
Okay.
outside storage. Yeah, that's not at the church.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that'd be 705, and I think the church is 817 or 823 School Street.
Okay.
I guess Lindsay has something for you.
No, I can't hear very well, so especially now.
Hello, how you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
On your scope of work, do you have a timetable that you can present to the commission to show us?
What did he say?
You have a timetable,
The time it will be completed?
timetable for completion.
Yeah, I said, March or May, March to May, somewhere, March, April, May. Beginning of summer, we're gonna shoot for that.
When there's a project being presented, the project manager will put together a timeline outlining
I can't hear him.
marks and things that will be
Can
completed
you stand over there and maybe?
between now and March or May.
Lindsay, could you repeat that word? He's gonna stand right next to the speaker so he can hear it better.
Okay. Basically, usually when a project is being presented at this scale, a project manager will put together a project scope that will outline the project's time and table of each of the benchmarks that will be completed along the way. And you said that the work will be done somewhere around March or May, but I'd like to know where you at now and along that way, what will be completed and benchmarks to show what will be done around March or May.
Well,
Hang on, Scott. I think you'll have to get on.
I'm shooting for to be done beginning of spring. You know.
I think for him to hear you,
March,
you gotta be
March,
in a
March,
microphone.
Yes.
I've never had to do that on any other job we've done. I can do it for you, I guess. but
No, I just told her if you
that's
put
gonna
that
be
next to the speaker,
shooting in
maybe
the
everybody
dark,
could
with
hear those.
dealing with the weather. I don't know what's gonna happen. Obviously, you've never dug outside.
I hired several contractors that do work outside. I'm a project man. So what I'm saying is, I know how a project is supposed to be outlined and presented. And so I'm asking, do you have the capability to present that project with a timetable and outlining the completion?
No, I don't.
With benchmark?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's all I want to know. Does the engineering firm have that information?
Morning. Rudy Vogteveen with Randall Miller and Associates. We're the engineer on site. So we are overseeing the project and ensuring that it's going to be completed per plan. At the end of the project, we will be providing the as-built post-construction to verify that the job was done per the plans. That's part of our job, is to verify that that is in fact the case. I can also verify that Miami County Soil and Water District has been on site several times inspecting the project as well. I would just reiterate that this is an ongoing construction project, and weather is a factor. Things are proceeding, but weather is hindering it. But I will say that RMA will be signing off on the final product. So if the project's not completed per our specs, it's not going to be improved, and it's not going to go on. As a secondary layer, Banning Engineering, who's reviewing our work, their stamp's going to be on it too. So you have Miami County Soil and Water, you've got Randall Miller and Associates, and you've got Banning Engineering, are all going to be reviewing this. So when this project is done, it's going to be done right, or our name's not going to be on it, and they'll be fixing it to make it correct. As far as the intermediate time frame, that's not within our purview. We can't enforce a time frame, but we can guarantee that at the end of the process, it will be done, and it will be done according to the plans. So any questions that you guys have, I'd be happy to answer.
So yeah, other than weather, what is the other reasons why you guys, why they're behind on the work?
Like I said, I can't speak to that, because we're not the contractors, we're the engineers. I can speak to when the project is done, we will do an as-built to verify it was done per the plans. But, I mean, in just a construction sense, weather, that's why construction really doesn't happen a lot during the wintertime. It's hard to do construction in the wintertime. The weather is difficult, and it just slows the process down. We have a lot of construction staking projects in winter. You don't have very much construction going on in the winter. You do in the summer when the weather's cooperative and the conditions are such that you can operate and do construction in weather that accommodates it. So, but to speak to why, I think the contractor has told you, we don't dictate a timeline for the contractor. We verify the product is done correctly when it's finished, but I have no say-so as to when they're out there and when they do their work.
Right, I agree with that. So, but as an engineer, when you design the project, you put an estimated timeline and completion on the project to be completed. Is that correct?
I don't say that's up to the contractor and the owner of the property. We don't dictate this has to be done in such and such amount of time. That is dependent on the project itself and the contractor.
So when you put together a project, you don't say that the estimated time that it will take to complete this project is, let's say, 7 months.
We have an idea of that, but it's not.
You develop the scope of work, right?
Our plans and our design is based upon the information. We design the site, but we don't say this site has to be done in 6 months. We design it, and then the contractor and the owner will do the work as quickly as they can, and we don't have any jurisdiction. I mean, we can't control, there's projects that get started and never get finished. It's not under our purview to ensure this is going to be done in X amount of days.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that you. I'm not saying that you want to insure, but I'm saying based off of the scope of work that you're designing to, there's always an estimated time of completion based off of the scope of work.
Yeah,
and the contractor usually, and that comes from the individual that's hiring the contractor will know that based off the scope of work that this work should be completed within X amount of times, and that's how you hire a contractor, knowing that they complete the scope of work within that time frame. And so when the project has not been completed within that time frame, then that becomes a problem because we're looking at, this is the same thing that I said last month's meeting was we're going to get this dog and pony show where we're going to get a little bit of work getting started before meetings and around meeting times, but throughout the month before then, nothing gets done or get touched. And so we have had a mild winter this year so far, and the amount of work that has been done is nothing compared to what could have been done when people just don't even be there. So that's where, and it's not the engineer's fault. I'm not saying you, sir, but what I'm saying is it's a lack of, I guess, it seemed like it's a lack of participation on Drew's part side of getting the work done.
Like I said, we're not in control or responsible for ensuring that the contractor's on site. The only thing I can state is that, like I said before, winter is not a time when you want to do construction. So the mildness of the winter, while maybe it's warmer and people can be outside more, that probably makes, not probably, that makes it more difficult on the contractor, because now they're dealing with, now it's cold, now it's thawing, now you've got mud, you've got dirt that is difficult to move. So while the temperature may be mild, that actually makes it more difficult to run a construction site if it's milder, like we see that on construction sites all over in the wintertime. Like I said, that's why you don't want to do construction in the winter. It's a difficult process.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we ready to move on to the public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Commission satisfied with that update.
Thanks for your update. Appreciate it.
You guys want to stop in, please?
We'll do that.
I mean, bring them all. That'd be great.
Is there room for public comment on this?
On this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kelly, make sure that you guys sign.
We did.
Thank you.
Please state your name and sign the sheet.
Who's following me? My name is Mark Tompkins. I live at 15 MacArthur Court, which is at ground zero to when the retention pond is being drained or any work is going on that affects our property. And during this meeting, I've noticed I've been called a liar a few times, which I do not agree with.
Is that Michael? Sorry, does that mean you're right up next to the fence then?
Yes, I am. So when the gentleman here said they put up silt fences and everything, the original silt fence from over a year ago, from when the hazmat spill came through, is still there and is just leaning over. The T-posts are leaning over. The hay bales they put up have been disintegrated. So anytime that any water comes through from the retention pond, it's coming through my mother's ditch. I've been living there for the past year to take care of her because she's no longer able to be on her own. I have watched the work going on next door. They talk about they work out there as much as they can. My understanding is that during a meeting here in this council around the end of July, they were granted a 90-day extension in which they would have 75% of the work done. They did not work very much out there. I went through and did a weather check, weather history for
the address at Drew's Parks. And at the end of November, out of the 150 days that had elapsed since then, there were 105 fair weather days. So there were a number of days in which work could have been done, and it has not been. Now, recently, they started work around, I'm going to say Friday, and have been working pretty constant. And yes, they made a little bit of progress in digging in the dirt and moving it and everything. Again, the comment was made, it's as if when a meeting's coming up, they start putting that focal work out there and everything. The other thing, Denise or somebody mentioned a picture about the camper. That was me that took that picture, and it was on the property of the office. I took it from MacArthur Court, close to Hemlock Court, and pointed back directly towards the office building. So it was just a question I had, is this, something allowable or is it not? I was not directly complaining, I was asking a question through the email, on that. It always seems that when I go on vacation, I am from Virginia, or I live in Virginia now, and I take my mother down there to see my kids and grandkids. And it's like, that's when things happen, and true to course, it did again this year. They drained the pond, or started draining the pond. It comes right through our ditch, and it goes into the neighborhood. Over time, there has been erosion, and the erosion starts in my ditch. I got a telephone pole starting to lean. You can see parts of the ditches have been cut out for erosion over time. But long haul, it goes downward to MacArthur Court to Flintwood Drive, where it starts flooding over Flintwood Drive. And it goes on down towards Lindsay's house, floods it enough to where he can't get out of his house. So I don't know who Brandy is, and what she approved or didn't approve. But this is a continual problem whenever the drainage continues. I'm all for them completing their work. I want to see it done. It's an eyesore back there. The one gentleman talked about working on equipment, having lights on there. My neighbor Sean and I were out there at 11 to 11:30 at night, and they were working on equipment and had lights shining directly towards the back of my house. And my mother's 90 years old and trying to sleep. I had been out there when I called the sheriff's office out there one night when there were ATVs running in the middle of the night out in the field. Periodically, I hear gunshots out there. People are hunting. That's not often, I'll admit that. But I'll be darned if I'm going to let a buckshot come to my house and I don't return. I live in a no man's land out there in a sense because we're on city water, but yet we're out in the county. So it's kind of that gray area that I'm in and stuff. Mr. Alexander, we correspond a little bit. You told me your son lives up there on the other side, up off of School Street, and everything. So, if your son told you he didn't hear much of anything, that's quite possible because he's way up on the north side of the property. I'm way back where the digging is going on the back side. Then you got a lot of buffer in between there. I'm not going to sit here and call them liars like they could have called me. I provide pictures. Sean provides overhead pictures. I don't have a drone. He does. But I provide pictures from the side. I have watched them knock down trees coming up to the fence and everything. I've had obscene gestures made at me by the person running the excavator. I'm like, dude, if that's all the education you got, I feel sorry for you. Show respect. But this has gone on long enough. When did they start this project? How long have they been doing it? It's like I've been up here for 14 months now, and it's been nothing but a pain in the butt. I'm not asking for miracles or whatever. I'm asking for it to be done. They tell you, they've not been able to get out there and do work. They've had a lot of days of good weather before winter set in, before the rainy weather set in, that they could have been doing work, and they're not. So, basically, I just want to bring that up because I'm tired of being looked at as and being called as a liar. When I'm the one sitting there and working there, I work from home to take care of my mother. I took a few hours off to come here and to listen and see what's going on and voice my concern about this. I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt to Mr. Drews. If he wanted to talk to us so bad, he can come talk to us. If he wanted to you brought up a question, what would it take to get the neighborhood off his back? You know, has he reached out to the neighborhood? I sure as heck haven't received a letter, my mother and I, saying, hey, let's get together and talk about this, or this is what the overall plan is. There's neighbors that voice concern that don't take it to the extent that my other neighbor and I do. You know, we're right along the fence. We're right there. We see it, we hear it, and everything. And I'm just asking for some concern or consideration in your decisions on this. You know, I love this county. I grew up here. I admit I don't know much of any of you, Mr. Gary. I grew up with your brother at Highland and went there and stuff. But to come back up here after so many years and to take care of my mother and see this going on, it's like, this isn't the county I grew up in. You know, back then you had a lot more respect for each other. You may disagree. I'm all for disagreements. It's what stirs and fosters growth. But to take it to the point of where we're calling each other liars and stuff like that, I don't stand for that. And that's about all I have to say here at the moment. But I just want some understanding with this. I'm sure Lindsay can add to the fact of the road being flooded down there whenever they drain the pond. And it's not always when they drain the pond. The silt and everything over time coming down through the ditches has eroded the situation enough to where part of the road that's right there on MacArthur Court alongside our ditch is now eroding. The ditch is eroded up to the road. The asphalt is now starting to cave. Whose responsibility is that? The county, not mine. You know, my culvert where the silt has built up over time, why should I be the one that have to, you know, fix that when it's mud and dirt coming from, you know, the property next door? You know, when ABC Rail and ABEX had that property years ago, one of them, I can't remember which, had a hazmat spill. They came to my parents, one of my parents lived there, and said, we will take care of this. We will fix this. Has this happened since the hazmat spill last year? No. There's not been anything to say, Mr. Tompkins or Mrs. Tompkins, we're going to come take care of this property. We're going to resolve this issue for you and take responsibility. There has been none of that. And it's just, you know, very disheartening to the world that we have come to, that this is the way it goes on. I'm not trying to kill Mr. Drew's business. I just don't want to be looking at equipment all across the backyard. He has scraped off, I think I heard 7.5 acres back there. Really, do you need all that much for that equipment? You know, if you're going to put a retention pond back there, when did this project start? When did it, you know, how many days have you had to finish this? The county already gave an extension of 90 days before, and they didn't do much. At the end of, and like I said, at the end of November, I went back and checked weather history for his address, not for the office, but for where the work is going on. 105 days out of 150 were fair weather days. Even if you used 50 of those 105 fair weather days, you would have got more done, you know. And it would not have been the mud situation that you all have talked about.
In regards to, I think a lot of times here today, we're mixing two issues together. So you've got the 90-day extension that was granted by the Planning Commission, and that's in regards to Mr. Drew's moving his parts and the equipment and getting the salvage out of there and building his buildings or whatever it is. And then somebody pipe up if I'm wrong. Tom, you know, you're part of the drainage board with me. Then you've got the drainage board issue, which it is the detention pond. And, you know, Banning Engineering was hired by the county and the drainage board to oversee those engineering plans. When they get the work done, Banning will go back in there and take a look at that and make sure that they did what they were supposed to do on our behalf. So, you know, an extra set of eyes on that to guarantee that for everyone that's out there. That work and those plans were, I'm going to assume they started work after they got drainage board approval, but that was in late summer, early fall, Tom. And so they would have had, you know, sometime in, I'm going to say September, something like maybe that those plans, those engineering plans got passed, you know, they met, you know, the criteria for the county. That's when their work begun on that part of it. So that's one issue. And then you've got the other issue that I'm not sure the 90 days really doesn't have anything to do with the earth moving out there. And I don't believe that there was necessarily any time frame put on that. That was passed with the idea that, at that time that they'd go ahead and get started as quickly as they could, and hopefully the weather would be good, and they'd get that knocked out, and that detention would be in place as quickly as possible. Is that, honestly, at the end of the day, when that's done, that amount of water, because of the county ordinances that choke that down, that comes past your mother's house and down the hill there, that'll be almost non-existent when they're done. So,
Well, at some point, I mean, it still happens, it still goes on, if you're saying it's gonna be done, then, when you start getting monsoon seasons and heavy water and stuff, that pond will fill up, but to what point?
yeah, but it's only allowed to release it at a certain rate. So you can have the engineer come back up here and discuss that for you, since you weren't at the drainage board, but it's choked down. County regulations on that are even higher than the city of Madison.
Well,
So it's choked down pretty darn tight.
Right, and I just have concerns about all this, and I think justifiably so, because of what I've seen going on, over there. It's not like they've been building up, where you're talking about the choke point and everything. There's not been much of anything building on there. When they're digging the dirt, they're taking on around out.
They just said that earlier. That's done the very last thing they do.
Okay, and that's,
Very last thing.
okay, that's fair game, I understand that, and I'm generally a patient person, anybody that knows me.
I can guarantee you that everybody on this board, the drainage board, and anybody else that has anything to do with it would like it to be complete.
Yeah.
I can 100%
That,
promise you that.
I have heard a couple other things in that, either you're getting rid of the equipment or you put up a barrier wall, which there's still lots of equipment out there, and there's, no barrier wall up as of yet,
And then the other thing I would add to that in regards to the erosion, down the side of your mother's house there and all the way down, Mr. Drews agreed in the drainage board meeting, because we brought that up. No reason to go in there and do it now, because we can't detain that water. But when that's complete, he would assist in taking all
Then
that
I would
back.
invite Mr. Drews to come talk to me and my mother about that, and we work together on a plan to do that. And do it right,
So anyway, that was discussed and it was agreed upon that.
Okay. I just wanted to voice my concerns to all of you.
Thank you.
While I had the opportunity, because my mother can't fight for herself. She's
Right.
90 years old, and I'm the one here taking care of her.
The one reason they're pumping the water out is so they can't get down the bottom of the hole to dig it with water in there. So they got to get the water out of there. So I don't know how else to get the water out. Now, yes, the silt fence should be in good repair at the time. I understand that. And if it's fallen over, they need to.
It's not been addressed for months, so.
Two inside of there. That's what.
Okay, but the one that's outside right by the fence is all caved down and everything. Now, when it comes to draining the water, what I would suggest is not flush it through at a rapid rate, take it at a slower rate, because people like Mr. Brown, who's on the call here, it floods down to this road to the point where people down at the end of that road can't get out.
Was it a 2-inch pump? 2-inch pump's all we need.
I'm just saying that, there's not a whole lot of coordination going on here.
And then you were addressing the lights earlier. They were trying to make up time because of the lot of the rains we've had in the fall. Just because it's sunny outside, that doesn't
But
mean the
11:30 at
dry.
night,
Well, that's what they're saying.
and they weren't
They're trying
moving
to
it,
do
it
that.
was like they were working on equipment that night,
Now, I think
This was
they
not
were-
going up and down the drainage part, this is like straight out from my mother's bedroom
Right.
and stuff. I'm not gonna get into a pissing contest here with this, it's just, I'm just telling you what I see.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for your concerns.
Okay, my name is Kate Smith, and I have one concern about the building on storage units. Is he gonna use a building permit for this, because he has a treehouse behind our property. He did not get a permit for that, and there's a bunch of other stuff he did not get a permit for. So I'm wondering if he's gonna get a permit to build that.
So which part are you wondering if he's gonna get a permit for again?
I'm wondering if he's gonna,
The
for storage. And I hope he'll answer that when he comes up here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your comment.
We've already been through the permits. The one out in the woods, we didn't get a permit. We paid a double fine on it. That one was done. The other one was done by a contractor, so according to everything I know, everything we have on our property has a permit, because I know Brad and them went through it, because we built a tree fort out there for the kids, and it was bigger than the tree fort, so, but it wasn't attached to a tree. So we've already got the permit. I guess Stacy could probably help you on that more than, or not, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, Liz and I both do.
Correct.
Yes, so there's been permits that he has applied for and gotten.
Yeah.
And then there's one that I believe that we had to hold off on.
Correct, yeah. So as far as we know, everything we've got, it has permits for. So my last thing, I know it's been long, 10 seconds. I invited all you guys to come out. I'm in the church. I've had neighbors stop in, and when they stop in, I said, I invite all my neighbors to come in and question it. I felt that's great. I'll show you what we're doing. I'm not gonna go around to every neighbor and say, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? If there's a problem, they know where I'm at, and I tell what neighbors do come to me and say, have them all come to me. I'm open for any questions. You guys come in, they come in, whatever you need. We're there every day. I have nothing to hide, and I mean, it's just hearsay, like we talked about fixing that ditch, and other people, not you, other people say other things, and it's just, it gets old on you guys, it's getting just as old on me. I want to finish it, I want it done, and then they can go find something else to bring up to you guys and fight about.
Okay, thank you.
I just was hoping that I could get some clarification. I know.
Can you state your name for us?
Laureen White. I know that you, Mr. Atwine, said that the 90-day extension that was provided by the commission to Mr. Drews was for the equipment movement.
I said that I wasn't certain, is what I stated.
Okay.
That I wasn't certain whether that included the equipment or was just for the movement of the machinery and the other items that the planning commission dealt with.
We did give them extension though on the pond, on the
Yes,
engineering
that was
part.
extension.
That was part of it. I do remember that.
Because the engineer couldn't get it all done, and then, because the one guy bailed.
Yep.
And
Right.
then it came like the day before, it was like, what's going on? And then they came in, they said, Jason from Army came, said, I want an extension, and I can still get it done in 90 days. That's the only extension we've had.
The January 4th, 2021 letter from Brad Newman set out deadlines for removal of equipment, for building of barrier walls, for pond, and for bringing the entire parcel back into compliance. He's met none of those. He stood here today and told you that only 70% of the equipment has been removed. It set out a deadline for 75% long ago. When is someone going to hold him responsible?
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, I might say that I have done, I purchased a mini backhoe, and I've actually done some digging. And we have emergency situations occasionally where we have to replace a sewer line on a house, and I've actually used that digger myself, just for fun, really. It's kind of enjoyable, but it's not very enjoyable when the ground's wet. When I'm digging, it takes maybe 3 times longer. I don't know if that's a good estimate, Scott, but it does take a lot more time when water's involved, and you've got to knock it out of the backhoe, and sometimes it doesn't come out. It just sticks in there, and so you've got to get a shovel and dig it out. And so it is very difficult when the ground's wet. It has nothing to do with the sunshine. It has all to do with the moisture that's collected in the ground. And but basically, I mean, there probably has been times that things could have been done, but you probably had other work. You still have to make a living. And so if you're on another job, I knew you tore down some old, you tore down the grocery, Matthew, what was it? The Harvest Market building, and so you had to be on that job, and that had a timeline. So I just think that, basically, I grew up as a middle child, which is kind of a peacemaker, and I try to make peace with them. But I do think it would be a good idea for the neighbors to meet up with Mr. Drews and let him give an accounting of what his plans are and when the privacy fence is going to be up and when all this is going to be dealt with, so that they have an understanding. Right now, we're the facilitators of the two sides of this issue, but I think that it would be helpful if the public could get together with Mr. Drew and have a good conversation about where we headed with this. And in the end, that would certainly be a wise thing to do.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments from anyone?
I just want to say I think it's this board's job to enforce zoning, and I wish Brad was here today, but I'd love to have the peacemaker stuff happen, but I think there's been so much contention over the past year. I'm not aware of the January 2021 letter, but that's one whole full year. I don't know what can and can't be done. I am a farmer's daughter, so I know it's tough in the mud, but I also know, farmers seem to get their crops in and get them out. And, I know you got to work too, but I just, want to get this done. I mean, I'm tired of the emails, not that I don't like, hearing emails from the community. I think that's our job. We should get them and read them. I just feel like it's this board to enforce it. So if you can get that done by the end of March, get it done. But I think we're coming to a point where we need to set some deadlines with some enforcement behind it, because I think a year, January 2021, is a lot of time. So
I tell you, I've been doing this business for 35 years, and I've seen Drew's boys out there working when nobody else is working. I mean, they bust their ass to get that stuff in. And this is the first I've heard about any timeline on this job. I never heard anything about it till I walked in here, and Mr. Richwine pretty much straightened it out. I wish I'd have thought about it when what he said, but he's right. The pond had nothing to do with the what was it? For the extension. We didn't even know we was on a timeline. This is the first I even knew there was a problem with the dates. But far as him cleaning that stuff up, he's got guys out there when it's freezing ass cold, and I wouldn't want to be out there, but they are. And they've cleaned up a lot of that stuff. It's just, this is ridiculous. I'd walk away from it if I could, but I won't do that to Kelly, because this is a bunch of shit. Thank you.
Okay. Any further action that we need to take from the planning commission?
No.
So, excuse me, I think that's a problem right there. If the contractor didn't know that there was a timeline on the project, then everybody just working milly-nilly as they please.
Yeah, that the contractor should have been aware of the deadlines and the timelines that this commission had set on the project. So I don't know whose responsibility that was to get everybody on the same page. But I think he's aware now, so hopefully they'll work on it a little bit more. All right. Are we ready to move on? Okay. Now we'll go back to the solar moratorium and the public hearing on the ordinance.
And once again, this is to pass an ordinance which will extend a moratorium on just the large scale, 50 acres or more, solar farms as described in 2017 BCO-01. If you pass it, you're recommending or not recommending to the commissioners that they pass that. I know that the commissioner that serves on the board has recommended it be for a whole year or for a calendar year, but that will be up to you guys at the conclusion of the public hearing.
So I guess we just open the floor up to public comment. All right.
I do have one question. Are we going to have two public meetings, evening meetings still?
Yes, all the three meetings are going to be rescheduled when we get back somewhat to normal. I expect it to be fairly soon. If it's not, they'll have to get other arrangements made.
I just wanted that to be on the record to make sure everybody knows there are going to be two.
Correct. This is moratorium only on today's public hearing.
Okay. All right. I would invite anyone to speak that has anything to say on the moratorium.
Do I need to sign in?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And state your name.
Yep,
into the microphone.
Kaylee Albert, and I just wanted to voice, my appreciation and say that I recommend also like at least a year so that we can get this through. I think Brad has worked really hard to get an ordinance, and we're getting close, and hopefully with the meetings and everything, we can get a good ordinance that Planning Commission and the public and the county all agree on to protect everyone, and we can move forward. So I just wanted to say that I agree with doing the full year and going from there. Sorry.
Thank you.
Lee Walls, 4955 West, 1000 North Frankton. I ain't gonna take much of your time, but I just want it for the record that I did state that I am in agreement of some form of extension. Just want to make sure that public record is known on the minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Melissa Rubrecht. I live on 400 East, where the proposed solar farm is currently being considered. And so I strongly also support a moratorium until we have time to get the ordinance in place and help protect property rights.
Can I ask you a question, Melissa?
Yes.
Which solar farm are you talking about? 400 East of?
All of them. Those are the ones I'm talking about. The 400 East in Alexandria
East
area.
Alexandria. I just want to make sure the rest of the people knew where you were, and
Yeah.
your home is affected on.
Absolutely. I'd be surrounded on four sides of my property.
That's what I thought.
We have 5 acres, and it's farmland all around my house, and the farmers all around have signed up. So I'm very concerned.
Is that Lone Oak?
No.
That's a different.
It's a different one.
I forget the name. Someone else has to tell me. Urban Grid.
Urban Grid, Lisa.
Yeah.
If you,
I'm Lisa Rinker. We live at 10428 North 400 East. We are actually neighbors to the south of Melissa Rubrecht. What is happening that you may or may not be aware of, there's 1,600 acres being signed up as we speak. Landowners have all been contacted out in that area. It is Urban Grid. They're out of Roanoke, Virginia. and we're the Sycamore Project. They always give it a green name. So we're Sycamore. And so we have actually been trying to get information, inform our landowners. John and I own land out there and farm. They've contacted us to sign up our land and it be in that project. We do have one farm family. They are a prominent family farm, have several LLCs, and they have signed up about 700 acres of that 1,600 acres. So we already know that that's signed up, and then we have additional landowners that have been contacted. We're trying to get the information out to people, whether you're for it or you're against it. We just want you to have the valid information so that you can make a good, informed decision. So as Melissa said, she's on 4 sides. We're basically going to be on 4 sides. We are not signing up our property, so that protects us a little bit. We have a little bit of a shield, but there are a lot of families and a lot of homes out in that area that are going to be signed up are affected, I should say. The other thing that I think is really important, I agree, John, that we really need to have a moratorium. I've read that solar ordinance, as I know all of you have. It's very involved, and there's a lot of things to consider. And we're not just talking about farm families, and we're talking about, there are a lot of things to consider, as you all know. And so that's why we're coming and representing our communities. Farmers are known, as all of you are farming, that we care about the land as much as the next person, and we want there to be good climate. So it's not like we're adamantly opposed to everything. We want it to be so that you're looking at everything and getting all the facts. We would invite you tonight, after your meeting, unfortunately got canceled because Brad's ill, we are going to go ahead and have a community meeting. It's just an information meeting at the fairgrounds tonight from 6 to 9. And we're going to get information out to the community. And then we also thought that would be a time where they could express some concerns or questions that they had with regard to the solar ordinance. So not overstepping you all, but just making sure that we can help so that we get a good ordinance in place and that it protects all of us. So that's what Melissa's talking about. That's just one now that we feel pretty confident that if they get enough people signed up, they will make application, and that will come before all of you.
I'm just kind of taking a poll. What's your main reason, real quick, why you do not want it on your ground?
Well, actually, John, there are several reasons, but we look at property values and I've looked into all of that, property devaluation of the property of our homes that are in that area. It can go out as much as a mile perimeter of that solar farm.
But it's going to be on your farm, though, right? I mean, I'm saying if it's on your farm, why have you elected yourself
not to have it
on your farm?
I'll explain. I'll tell you why, okay. John. We have looked. John and I have looked at all of the information. We've taken the positives, what people tell us are the positives, and and the things that are of a negative. One, we have a grave concern about the coatings that are on those solar panels coming into our aquifers and into our water. We're all on well water, so we're concerned about that. And John, I'm not going to lie to you. We have, and you've been out to, where we live. We don't really want to have solar panels on 4 sides of our property. And when you look out our west picture window, that's what you see, our solar panels with fences and the wildlife being restricted. And, and I will be really honest, we want to be good neighbors. So we've looked at how much they're going to give us per acre. It's $1,050. And when you take that, and that sounds like a lot of money, we're in the millions. When you get over a 30-year project and it can be extended to 45 years. That's a lot of money, but when you look at what that does you have to look at the depreciation value, the devaluation of the properties out there. You have to look at what the property values have gone up, as you all know. That's going to affect all of that. So, we have there, and I would welcome all of you to come tonight. I mean, we're just trying to get the information out. There is so much information out there. You hear the good, you hear the negative, and then you have to start researching and put it all together, and that's what we're trying to do. So I know, it's a big, and you have to think about it from a farming perspective. John and I are not 20 years old anymore, But John, that land, John and I want that land to go to our children and our grandchildren, and we don't want to lock them into a solar project for the next, John and I won't be here. Probably, maybe 30, but more than likely, we're not going to be here in 45 years, And I think one of the things that I've heard people, we all have to talk about a decommissioning plan. If this were such a good project, why would we decommission something that needs to stay in place and is going to be beneficial for all of us for years? So just replace the panels as they need replaced, but why have a decommissioning project and you only have it for 30 years or 45? If solar is the way to go. So, and I think the other thing that we've looked at, and this will all kind of be brought up tonight too, in Indiana, when I've done my research, Indiana has 85 days of sunlight that can power those solar panels. It's 365 days, and 85 is not very many, So I just think there's a lot of things to consider, and that's why we're coming to support all of you, but to make sure that that we're educated, and that we also make sure that our community is as well. So again, we would love for y'all to come tonight if you're available, just to listen. If you have any questions, of course, that's great too. But it's from 6 to 9 at the fairgrounds. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
6 o'clock tonight.
I'm Cody Light, 9712 North, 400 East, and I am a neighbor to John and Lisa. I live just south of them. I am a beginning farmer. You guys need to really think about these projects, because it will affect me and it will affect Corey for the rest of our agricultural career. All of you will be dead at the end, more than likely will be dead at the end of 45 years. I do not have a dad. I have had great-grandparents that farmed. My ability to take over that farm stopped with them. I'm starting from nothing. I do more of a specialty crop. I raise lamb and sell at the farmer's market. I would love to be able to grain farm, and I know there's other young farmers that want to grain farm. Let me ask you, what's going to happen when this solar farm goes in? The Petty family in our area owns the 700 acres. Those boys inherited that ground from their grandpa, Max Draper. What's going to happen when they get that 700 acres signed up and a beginning farmer wants to go out and rent ground, or one of you that farms on this board or on one of the other boards of the county wants to go out and rent more ground or buy more ground? First of all, you're not going to have a chance, because those people will have unlimited funds to pay whatever they want for cash rent and to buy ground. I really think you guys need to think about the next generations of young farmers that might not necessarily have the option to take over their family operation, because it's pretty hard now to get started farming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, maybe 45 more years.
Yeah. I won't make it 45.
Sorry, there was something else I wanted to bring up too. Why do we have a member in this board that just gets up and walks out? Jerry Alexander got up and walked. This is the second time I've been to these meetings. Second time he has got up and walked out. If he does not wish to serve on this board, I don't care if you have other obligations And this also goes back to farming, because you guys, I understand. I grew up around dairy. I understand. At certain times of the years, you got to get crops out. But your job is to be on this board and to be here. It is your job. You chose to take it. So your farm gets put on hold. Also, you stay till the end of the meetings. You were voted, you were chose to be on this board. If you don't want to do your job, then you need to just be done.
Sorry, Melissa Rubrecht, additional comments. We know from the world population right now that there's going to be a food shortage, and so using prime farmland for this purpose is only going to exacerbate that problem. In Muncie, there's a library that has solar panels, and they have it in the parking lot, and they have it raised, and so you can park underneath it. There are places where it makes total sense, on roofs, places like that. But to use prime farmland when we need that for this purpose is a misuse of the land. So I encourage you to keep that in mind. Also, flooding's an issue. The field across from us has a lot of standing water already with drainage issues, and to add solar panels to that is probably going to flood my septic system and create additional problems. So there's a lot to think about as we consider this.
Any other comments? Anybody from the committee have any comments?
If that's the case, you can close the public hearing and entertain motions on a recommendation and on extending the moratorium for a period of time.
Okay, so I'll close the floor for comments, and I would entertain a motion on the moratorium.
I'd make a motion that we extend the moratorium to the end of the calendar year, or until such time that the county passes an ordinance regarding solar energy.
And I assume that's a favorable recommendation.
I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. Do we want to do a roll call vote? Stacy?
Yes. Mark Gary,
Yes.
Spooner,
Yes.
And you said something.
Gary Alexander,
Lindsey
Brown,
Yes.
Shocked, I didn't realize
Yes.
quick, but they've already got it all set.
Yes.
I don't know, I just thought the whole idea was to get a plan to do this. Frankly, I don't think.
Yes.
and Wes Whiteman.
Okay, Stacy, one more time. What are we voting on?
There's been a motion on the board to extend the moratorium until the end of the year, or until the
Passing of the ordinance.
Until we have
Until the passing of the ordinance.
Pass the ordinance.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
That'll likely be considered by the commissioners this coming Tuesday.
Okay. All right. That's all that's on the agenda that we have. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
That was an easy one.
They voted on.
Yep, we're all nice.
All
All right, bye-bye.
Congratulations.
Being blind.